163 meters, but they are going to start on the far side because obviously you then measure back from the finish line to get your full 5,000 meters, and this is where it comes to. So they're actually going to start on a little bit of a camber. Just 3 lanes have been laid out. And the big story is the progress, incredible progress of Francine Niyonsaba, one of the DSD athletes who wasn't able to compete over the last couple of years in her normal event, the 800 meters. And then the choice was either to move up or take the medication required to keep testosterone levels within the permitted levels that World Athletics had set. But Niyonsaba chose to have a go at the longer distances and has been with fantastic results, particularly over this last 3 or 4 weeks when she's been unbeaten, 3,000 meters. And we think here we'll probably start as maybe the slight favorite over Helen Obiri in the 5,000, which is saying something. But a pretty good field lined up. Such an unusual race. I think that will certainly determine how the races run, in the sense that they've got to get used to the tight turns. There are a couple of almost 90-degree turns with heavy banking, and then this slightly more sweeping turn at the bottom bend. Long lap, not used to the normal 400 meters where you can give yourself, you know, gauging your pace. Everything else has gone out the window, all of the normal benchmarks that you have. So it's not a road race and it's not a normal track race, something in between, if you like. So the 5,000 meters, Diamond League final. Others to watch out for here, Rengaruk and Werku. Rengaruk of Kenya, Werku of Ethiopia, but especially Taye of Ethiopia, I think, will give the 2 big names a run for their money. Pace is going to be set by Van Buskirk of Canada. And she'll have the job of trying to just get them going at around 70, 71 second laps for what would be a 400 meters. And I'm not even going to begin to try and work out what that is around here, but it's, I think they should be lapping in around 120, something like, excuse me, 220. Is that right, Tim? Can't be right, no.
563 meters.
Yes. No, I tell you what, I'm going to ignore
a lot more
that.
than 120 for 563 meters.
Exactly. That
would be if they're doing 60-second pace.
I'm going to ignore that. Anyway, there's the first turn. You and I have had a walk around this, as you said. Those turns are very, very tight. They are banked, and there's a little bit of drop as you come off each of the banked turns as well. So a lot for them to think about here, and I'm sure these first couple of laps they'll just get themselves settled in and get used to the track.
Basically, Steve, 563 meters into 5,000 goes 8.88 times. So this is the 0.88 of a lap, and when they come through the finish line in front of us, they'll have 8 laps to run. The pace looks fairly steady at the moment, not particularly demanding. She's been asked to go out at about 2:57 pace for the first kilometre, Kate van Buskirk, and she will do that, I'm sure. She's a very experienced pacemaker. By the way, it's a sweltering hot afternoon here in Zurich. It's quite glorious late Indian summer we're having. I suppose it's about 28 degrees here. There's a very slight breeze across the lake. But those dark glasses are very much justified for Kate Buskirk out in the lead. Steve, I'll be fascinated. You mentioned Niyonsaba and how she's been more or less unbeatable since the Games. I saw her run in Paris, what, 10, 12 days ago in the 8:19 3000, the 5th fastest in history. She has got it all. She's got enormous strength, and she's got that blistering pace over the last 100, which nobody's found an answer to.
No, I think her story, even this summer, is such an interesting one in terms of what happened in Tokyo. We're just going to break off on from this 5,000 because we will catch up with what's been going on in the men's shot put. We've just seen the women.
From crowds up.
Well, Van Buskirk, I feel a little bit sorry for her because she's a little confused here. The 1 kilometre time came up as 2:49, which is actually very fast for 5,000 meters, almost world record pace. But I think it was in the wrong place because when she got to the finish line, she was on schedule for what was set as what we think would be the 70-71 pace. And I think she's got then she sort of wasn't sure, and she's dropped out now a little bit earlier than we were expecting. So that means that Kipkemboy is going to lead this, but they're still on around about 14:40 pace, not 14:10, as that first kilometre split would have suggested. I think it was in the wrong place. So just come back to Niyonsaba, and you're right, Tim. What an incredible story. Then You know, she ran the 10,000 in the Olympic Games and ran okay, and that was a bit of a surprise. It was 5th, and that was competitive. And then everyone started talking about her chances in the 5. And then she got disqualified for literally putting 1 foot on the inside in the heats of the 5,000 meters. And I think she would have been a factor in the 5,000 meter final, or certainly had a good chance of being a factor, because, as you've said, what we've seen since then reiterates how good she's become in such a short space of time. But she puts it down to the fact she moved to Kenya last year, in 2019, once she knew that 800-meter career was up for the foreseeable future, and she's just been training. She says, every morning I get up and see Kipchoge. What more inspiration do you need than that? And so yes, brilliant performances from her, but this has slowed right down now again, and becoming a little bit more cat and mouse after Van Busker dropped out.
Well, Steve, I think that 2-kilometer time of 5:46.08 is perhaps more realistic, but I definitely agree with you. I don't think that first kilometre was 14:10 pace, almost world record pace. I thought they were running fairly slowly, very conservatively, actually.
Yeah, Tim, we were given a chart which said at this point, when they went through with 5 to go, 6:26 was 71-second pace, and that's exactly what they went through in. Which, so as I said, we're in the 14:40, 14:45 range. They will speed up at the end, no doubt about that. We might just have to take the kilometre splits with a little bit of a pinch of salt. So Helen Obiri will be running the Great North Run next Sunday, just a few days' time.
It's coming Sunday?
Coming Sunday, yes. So she said in a press conference yesterday, yeah, I'm onto the roads now. I don't know if she's running any other races after the Great North Run. And niyonsaba is feeling this slow pace, but that bend is not a place to overtake. You're going to get pushed so wide around there. But yeah, so Obiri said, I was happy with my silver medal. Obviously, Hassan won the 5,000, and Obiri knows that now niyonsaba is a great contender. Maybe only Hassan would have the pace you were talking about, Tim, to perhaps outkick niyonsaba over this sort of distance.
Much a dialed-in 800-meter runner, not even really a 1,500-meter runner. In her track performances, of course, will not be valid for track record purposes, which is kind of ironic when you look at the size of it.
Yes, great expense and a lot of thought gone into this, but it's something different and it's pretty spectacular, you have to say that. And the crowd in front of us are certainly enjoying it. Obiri now, they've just dropped a little bit the pace. Still nothing fast, really fast for these women normally, but it's hot out there. It's a completely different type of atmosphere for them as they run around the top end, around the building. That's a tight 90-degree turn with a high banking. I have to say, Ejike Otey, who had only run 14:53 before the beginning of 2021, and she, behind niyonsaba, broke the Ethiopian national record, 8:19, which says something if you're breaking Ethiopian national records at 3,000 meters. So that's something which has stood her really good stead in the second half of this season, because this brilliant field finished 5th, but I think that performance in Paris just showed her potential. So she now takes it on. Taye, the 21-year-old Ethiopian, as they come round now with just 2 laps to go, but that's well over 1,000 meters, so more than 2.5 laps of a normal track. And it hasn't really started to get moving here. Kipkemboy on her shoulder, Obiri just tucked in, niyonsaba on her outside.
Well, these 5 beginning to get away. And Taye just had a little glance over her left shoulder there to see what sort of damage this little surge has done. But Kipkemboy's team looks quite comfortable on her shoulder, and niyonsaba there in the orange just loping along towards the back of the group. We know she's got several gears to go through yet. Obiri on the inside, holding that inside line and running the shortest line, if you like, around these various bends. Has such an unusual style, Obiri, really flopping with the arm. She has a long, languid stride for not a particularly tall athlete, but covers the ground so well. She is, prior to niyonsaba of recent weeks, the big kicker, really.
I was just going to ask you this question. Where would you do your kick on this? Because round about there, we think as they come around this that previous turn is about 300 to go, we think. And then as they come around another 90-degree turn, maybe about almost approaching 200 meters, maybe about 180, 190 from here. So do you wait to here? There's one slight bend again to the finish. So they're on.
You misjudge it completely. It's an optical illusion. Well, they're on the home straight now for the penultimate time. But you're right. I reckon it's 180 meters long, something like that, maybe 190 meters long. So it'd be very tempting to go too early. I would leave it until after that final bend.
niyonsaba wants to just try and control this. So at the bell, 563 meters exactly to go. niyonsaba leading. Then they'll go around this tight turn into the long back straight, and then the two 90-degree turns. The cameras are out, the phones are out, and now niyonsaba just stretching them, hasn't really started kicking here. Or Beery just looks as though she's struggling, but now moves out, wants to go past Kipkembo and Taya. Taya still looks really comfortable. She doesn't have as good a kick as some of the others, but it's going to be who goes first here, I think.
Well, there's an element of patience here, and tactics are employed, of course, always in middle distance and 5,000-meter running, but how do you apply tactics on such an unusual circuit? Here they take this corner, now they do, what, about 80 meters, and then they take another sharp turn, and they're into the home straight, that 200-meter sprint, nearly 200-meter sprint, Steve. Obiri looks like she's going early, but is niyonsaba going to control it?
Yeah, holding her off. Obiri's made it difficult for herself, having to go wide on the bends here, trying to use the camber to give respected. Helen Obiri having to settle for second again. Niyonsaba building her reputation in the distance events now. Shows that she set that in Brussels just over a week or so ago. But good, smart running. She controlled it, Tim, didn't she? She got to the front, and I think that's smart on those wide bends. What you don't want to be doing is trying to attack wide in those last two bends, which Helen Obiri tried to do.
Well, niyonsaba has got the strength and the stamina to control races and dominate them, frankly, and very, very few people in the world, maybe Sifan Hassan, I'm not sure anybody else, maybe Guide, could hold off Obiri in about 150, 160-meter home straight like that. Somewhat bizarrely, the finish line is about 30 meters before the big arch at the end of the home straight. So it's one of those deceptive finish lines, a bit like the Stockholm track, the old Olympic Stadium in the Swedish capital. But niyonsaba there has got the ability, Steve, just to bide her time and then kick. And the last kilometre, 2:44, that probably doesn't contain all the information we need, which is to say dialed in, hasn't she, this ability to kick and hold off the big names.
I really wonder now what will happen. I mean, we're not here tonight to have a whole discussion around DSD, but just for people to understand that the events that were chosen were based on the evidence that was available, based on the athletes who were running at the time in those events. And obviously niyonsaba has moved up into the longer distances, and whether or not there will also be and hopefully from her point of view, she won't want that to be the case, but every time she runs and competes again at the longer distances, it provides the evidence perhaps that was